There are over 58,000 publicly listed stocks on the market. So how does anybody choose which ones they should invest in? Now, I like to think I have a pretty solid investing career at 31 years old, but I'm no millionaire. So for this video, let's turn to someone who is Mr. Mark Tilbury, a self-proclaimed millionaire with a YouTube channel with over 3.6 million subscribers. One of his most popular videos is how he picks stocks with over 1.3 million views.
This is my crystal ball, and it allows me to predict everything the stock market's going to do in the future.
It's a great video, obviously, with that many views, and in it, he gives us some great criteria that he utilizes in order to pick stocks to invest in. Well, what this channel is about mastering the Thinkorswim platform. So what we're going to do today is we're going to borrow some of Mr. Tillman's ideas, and we're going to create a Thinkorswim investing scanner. So, firstly, I've got a couple of stock filters turned on just to keep a lot of the riffraff out, a lot of the crap. Once again, with there being over 58,000 stocks, you can eliminate so many of the building radar detectors out of their mom's garage type companies, just that you know you're never going to want to see anyway with stock filters like this. To add stock filters within Thinkorswim scans, of course, under the scan stock hacker subtabs, go to add filter stock, and this will give you a drop down in which you could create these filters yourself. I have a close set to a minimum of 50 cents. Don't need to see any stocks that are trading cheaper than that. I have a market cap just greater than nothing, because there's a lot of companies out there that just straight up are so worthless, they don't even have a market cap. Obviously, we don't need to see those. Then I have my volume set to a minimum of 50,000. In the grand scheme of the stock market, if you're not trading at least 50,000 shares a day, you are an extremely low liquidity stock and one investors really shouldn't be worrying about to avoid getting stuck in your investments, not having anybody to sell to when you're ready to exit. Now, the first criteria Mr. Tillman says he looks at to determine if a company is strong or weak is the money left over after a company has paid its expenses. Expenses divided by revenue multiplied by 100. In Thinkorswim, and really in any balance sheet you look at, this is considered the operating profit margin. So if you see what I just did there quickly, add filter, but this time instead of stock, we're going to go down to fundamental. And these are the filters we will be adding from here on out. So this is a drop down in alphabetical order. If I go to the operating profit margin, yes, he says that he looks for an operating profit margin greater than 15%. So we'll set that value in as the minimum. Next, he explains that he wants to look into companies in which the assets that they currently hold, be that in capital, be that in inventory, etc., are worth more than the debt, worth more than the liability. So assets divided by liabilities are greater than 1, are positive, right? This, once again, add filter fundamental, is called the current ratio. And of course, we want the minimum to be set to 1 so that we are only seeing companies whose current assets are greater than their current liabilities. Next, he wants to see the free cash flow increasing. Obviously, the company making and attaining and holding on to more and more capital over time. That is a pretty simple definition of a strong and healthy company. So within Thinkorswim, add filter fundamental, we have a free cash flow per share filter. Now we're going to go into the second drop down for the first time because I want to see year over year percentage. I want to see the difference year over year in our free cash flow. We want to see it increasing over time, right? And I'm going to set that to a minimum increase year over year of 30%. So that's all the filters we're going to set up, but don't go anywhere because we still have some very important sorting to do. After I run this scanner here, we're going to do our initial sorting top down by volume. Just show me the stocks that are trading the most volume. This is the easiest way to get a look at the most popular stocks currently aligning with these fundamental scan filters. You've got NVIDIA, of course, ridiculous company right now. Mara, PDD, Gold, YMM, Meta's on here, Cisco's on here. Lot of very big names popping up immediately on this scanner. But now let's say that you want to see the stocks that are meeting all of these criteria that are the most undervalued. Probably the most popular way to do this is to take a look at the PE ratios of each stock. I've already got a scan column turned on for price over earnings. You, of course, do this by clicking on this little cog here on the headers, customize, and then you would find your price to earnings in this side. Double click on it. It will add it to your current set. We can, of course, begin sorting by this. I'm now sorting by the lowest price to earnings at the top. But you'll notice, negative 32, negative 21, negative 14. Why do these companies have negative PE ratios? It's because they have negative earnings, right? And maybe you are a value investor. You want to look for these stocks that don't even have positive earnings yet, but you think because they meet these fundamental criteria might be set to explode. That's of course up to you. And just like with anything, feel free to change any of these variables to match what you might be more exactly looking for. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another fundamental filter for the price to earnings ratio, and I'm going to set a minimum of 0. I don't want to see stocks that have negative earnings. I won't consider them strong companies if they have negative earnings, right? So now we're, of course, seeing all the stocks with an operating margin greater than 15%. The current ratio over 1, the free cash flow year over year percent change greater than 30, and a positive PE ratio, all sorted so that the ones with the lowest current PE ratio are showing at the top. Now, just to wrap up the creation of the scanner itself, I will click on this middle hamburger dropdown, save this scan query. I will save this one as investments. And as I now save this, if I head back into my charts and open up my left-hand drawer here, I can now turn on my investments, there it was, my investments scanner from over here. And as long as this is linked to the same link that the chart is, as I now click through these stocks, they will auto-load on my chart so that I can begin to do some more deeper analysis on these companies. Now, XYF was the number one stock on our scan returns when we sorted from top down lowest PE ratio. What I would do next, head over to this website, Macro Trends. I'm not affiliated with this site at all. I just love the graphs they provide, and I will link it in the description down below. You can take a look at their revenue quarter over quarter. Start taking a look at some of their EBITDA operating incomes, their debt, their assets, their cash on hand, all in these nicely laid out charts. Then, of course, also head over to Yahoo Finance, which you all know, I'm sure, where you can begin to look at their cash flow, their balance sheets, income statements. You can click on statistics here to get a larger overview of everything going on. This is just a great way to, really start to now dive into the fundamental analysis of the companies. The Thinkorswim chart and scanner got you to the point where, hey, these companies look like they're strong companies. These two websites will now provide you with much more data on the back end so that you can do deeper research on the companies themselves. And if you enjoyed making that scanner, you will of course enjoy all of my other scanners along with strategies, custom studies, custom watch list columns that are all available for importing into your Thinkorswim software on my website, daytradingstrategies.net. Click the link in the description down below. Go check it out today.